Salibonani, Moroi, we are a few hours before the 9th of December 2023 by-elections, and the High Court recently barred the CCC-recalled candidates from participating in these by-elections. I am here joined by Takunda Tsunga, the Programs Officer where Elections Resource Center, to understand ukuthi kusho ukuthini lokho for the candidates, especially because they have paid their nomination fees bacampaignile, and I suppose by now ama-ballot paper abeseprintiwe. So what does it mean ngoba sesisalelwe isikhathi esincane, and I heard they are appealing? What does it mean? Please help us understand as the electorate, Takunda, because I'm very sure ukuthi abantu ba confused, bayazibuza ukuthi kanti kwenzakalani vele.
Firstly, what did the High Court rule, Justice Katillo rule in his judgment? Firstly, he's put out an order detailing that the recalled candidates, the recalled members of parliament who were representing Citizen Coalition of Change party, have been disqualified for this upcoming by-elections. The basis of their disqualification is that the judge purports that the nomination officer or the nomination court, which is led by ZEC, erred or erroneously accepted the nomination papers of these candidates under the CCC banner, as they did not represent the interests of the Citizen Coalition of Change, as argued by Singezo Chabangu. Therefore, the High Court has ruled that their nomination papers were not supposed to be accepted by the nomination court. Therefore, they are not qualified to stand for election in the upcoming by-elections, which are scheduled for the 9th of December. And particularly answering to the question of what does it mean for the candidates. Currently, as it stands, the High Court order is valid, pending a legal issue around whether an application by the applicants to the Supreme Court will nullify or will put the High Court order on hold. However, as it stands, the candidates are disqualified from standing for elections for the by-elections on 9th of December. And what it means administratively, there's no particular legislative provision that states that when one candidate is disqualified from standing in election after the nomination court, there's a legal requirement for the Electoral Commission to reimburse candidates their nomination fee. Their nomination fee is an administrative fee used for elections, so there's no legal requirement or prerogative on the Electoral Commission to reimburse these monies. In terms of the printing of the ballots, the Election Resource Center notes that the Electoral Commission had published a notice which is on their website, where they detailed the number of ballot papers printed for the by-election. They had delivered the ballot papers to the respective districts where by-elections are being held. So the ERC notes that the ballot papers had been printed. In terms of the judgment, the judgment now disqualifies particular candidates who were appearing on the ballot papers from standing in this election. Therefore, the Electoral Commission has been placed in a very difficult situation in terms of the administration of the by-elections on the 9th of December, as their candidates appearing on the nomination paper who have been disqualified. Therefore, I think the legal room for the Electoral Commission is quite narrow. Number one, what are the avenues available for the Commission? Well, firstly, the Commission could seek audience with the President of Zimbabwe, who is legally mandated to gazette the by-elections. Therefore, they may approach the President seeking an extension or a postponement of the current by-elections, which are stated for the 9th of December. This postponement would allow the Electoral Commission to address the administrative issues around the by-election. Secondly, the Electoral Commission could approach the High Court or the Electoral Court as the commission itself, seeking condemnation for the suspension or for the postponement of the by-elections. Thirdly, which is a more absurd option, would be that they would proceed with the election with the current ballot papers. However, it's difficult to provide a legal basis on how they would interpret votes for these CCC candidates, or whether they're simply going to strike out the CCC candidates on the ballot papers as well. So that is a bit more, administratively, it's a bit more difficult. So they may approach the president for a postponement. They may approach the court for a postponement, or they may proceed with the election with the current ballot papers. Or lastly, if they are able to print the ballot papers within the remaining hours till election day, then they may proceed with the election as is. However, it's important to note that these candidates for this particular by-election were recalled on the 3rd of October, if I'm not mistaken. So according to the Constitution and according to the Electoral Act, where there's a vacancy that arises in the National Assembly, that vacancy must be filled within 90 days from the time of vacancy. So the 90-day period began on the 3rd of October, and that lapses on the 3rd of January 2024. So the Commission still has time to postpone or to suspend the current by-elections, and they will have time to administer it on a future date. However, the financial implications, the administrative implications on this said suspension. So it will be interesting to see what channel or what avenue the Electoral Commission chooses to take in terms of this High Court order.
Thank you so much for articulating these issues for us, because as the electorate, sometimes we tend to get confused and wonder, should we even participate in the elections? Understand. But then, Takunda, what does this mean? What powers does the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission have as an electoral body?
I think the High Court order, or the High Court judgment by Justice Castillo, it raises very concerning issues around the independence of the Commission in terms of administering elections. I think the Constitution makes it clear that the Electoral Commission is the body mandated to carry out or to administer elections in Zimbabwe. There are provisions in the Electoral Act that detail the powers that the Electoral Commission has in terms of the nomination court, in terms of accepting and disqualifying candidates to stand for nomination, and it's rather concerning that the court is now taking a stance of usurping the function of the Electoral Commission in terms of administering of elections. I think this is not unique to this particular instance. I think we saw it following the Xavier Kasukwere case, where Xavier Kasukwere was disqualified by the courts after the Electoral Commission had accepted his nomination papers. I think this is a similar trend where the court is now usurping the function of the Electoral Commission in detailing or in administering elections. And secondly, I think there are key issues around the judgment itself. Number one, the court could have ordered that the Electoral Commission carries out another nomination court to ensure that the rights of these particular candidates are not infringed by this judgment itself. However, the court has taken a very restrictive approach, or a very restrictive stance to the interpretation of the facts before them, and now they've led a judgment that particularly infringes on the political rights of the candidates, that infringes on the rights of the candidates to stand for election unfairly and unjustly. So the judgment could, or the judge could have opened avenue for the commission to actually fix whatever legal issues that they had within the limited time frame that remains. However, they've taken a very restrictive interpretation of the laws, a very restrictive interpretation of the facts before them, and it's unfortunate that the High Court is seen delivering such an anti-progressive judgment in terms of political development and in terms of political jurisprudence in Zimbabwe. And secondly, or lastly, the issues around the cited parties themselves. The court delivers a blanket judgment disqualifying candidates from standing for by-election in the 9th of December 2023. However, it also disqualifies people who were not standing for by-election on the 9th of December. These are party list members of parliament who were recalled from parliament. So it creates a bit of confusion around how the judge was interpreting the facts before him and how he's disqualifying people who weren't even standing for election or for the by-elections.
I came across your tweet, Takunda, where you are probably throwing in options that are there for ZEC. So I'd want to understand ukuthi yiwaphi ama options for those who might not have seen your tweet. What options does ZEC have? Say they had printed the papers and now they are learning ukuthi those recalled candidates are not supposed to be participating in these by-elections.
In terms of the options that ZEC has available, I think I touched on it briefly. But number one, they could approach the president, as the president is the mandated authority to proclaim for by-elections. They may approach or seek audience with the president, requesting the president to postpone by-elections to a further date. This will allow the Electoral Commission to address any administrative issues regarding ballot papers, regarding administering or providing a free and fair, conducive environment for the by-elections to occur. Secondly, the Commission could approach the High Court or the Electoral Court, where they will seek a judgment from the court requesting a postponement of the by-elections to a later date. Thirdly, they could proceed with the by-elections with the current ballot papers as they stand. However, there are concerns or there are issues around how they will deal with the particular candidates who've been disqualified, who are appearing on the ballot papers. What the Commission will do is yet to be seen. And lastly, the Commission could try to print the ballot papers within the remaining time frame. However, that is unlikely, as they have to print over 220,000 ballot papers for the various by-elections from Lupane, Beitbridge to Bulawayo. So there are concerns around what options, but the most logical option would be for the Electoral Commission to approach the court, or for the Electoral Commission to approach the president to postpone the by-elections, as they are administrative concerns around the by-elections that are going to the core of an inclusive and open electoral process that ensures that every Zimbabwean who willingly wants to participate in electoral processes is awarded an opportunity to participate. I think the judgment is very restrictive in its approach and restricts the rights and freedoms of candidates to stand for elections unjustly. The judgment could have affected in various other ways, means and methods for the implicated candidates to, I think, address issues around their candidacy in a better manner.
Thank you so much, Takunda, for making time for us and making sure that we have a bit of an understanding ukuthi kungabe kwenzakalani, probably what to expect. Siyabonga kakhulu. I hope people will listen to this podcast until the end and get to understand and appreciate ukuthi kuthi kuthini vele okwenzakalayo, and maybe lokuthi sikhangeleleni kusasa ngomhla ka-9 kaDisemba. Please don't forget to go and vote, because your vote is your voice. From me, your host Bekezela Mguni, please don't forget to follow the Girls Table on our social media pages. Sikhona ku YouTube, it's the Girls Table. Please like and subscribe. Then we have Twitter, where our handle is table_girls. Please don't forget to like our content, retweet and follow us. We have Instagram, the.girls table. Go Facebook, it's the Girls Table. Until next time, Nikolebo Angamanda.